In Laos, an American soldier carries a rifle scrubbed clean. No serial number, no factory stamp, no mark that ties the metal to the United States. If he dies there, the government can deny the man and the weapon beside him, because neither proves an American presence in a war the United States publicly said it was not fighting. SOG later picked up legends about banned guns and forbidden gear. That story misses the point. The real job was deniability. A rifle without a number or maker does not confirm American origin, even when the body beside it does. What remains in his hands is a rifle with no serial number and no factory stamp. Those missing marks mattered because, on paper, no American team belonged in Laos or Cambodia. Maps said neutral. Hanoi denied its troops were there, and Washington denied its own men crossed in. That was the trap. SOG meant Studies and Observations Group. The name sounded like a desk office. It was cover. That bland title let a combat unit pass, on paper, for something close to research. Inside it were Army Green Berets, Air Force Air Commandos, and Navy SEALs, and it answered almost straight to the Pentagon. Its job was simple and dangerous. Small reconnaissance teams crossed into Laos and Cambodia, where the war was being decided beyond public maps. Every crossing created a military fact neither capital could admit. Both sides fought a hidden war where both denied having troops at all. Officially, the mission did not exist. Neither did the man on it. Before a border crossing, a SOG scout went sterile. He removed his dog tags, carried no identity papers, brought no letters, and wore a uniform with no national insignia. The same rule covered the weapon in his hands. An enemy could not trace it to the United States. This was not about extra killing power. It was about deniability. If a team died across the fence, the gear left in the mud could not spell out USA. So SOG built an armory meant to leave fewer clues. The CIA supplied it quietly, and the Counterinsurgency Support Office, or Cisco, supplied it too. On a SOG team, the man stepping out often chose his own weapon before the mission. On the rack sat a Swedish fix for that problem, the Carl Gustaf M45, or the Swedish K. Sweden adopted it in 1945, and it fired 9x19mm rounds. The CIA bought it for SOG because it left no American trace. A recon man could step out with 13 magazines, close to 470 rounds. Men in SOG rated the suppressed version their most accurate, quiet weapon. Then Sweden turned against the war, cut deliveries, and SOG began replacing its Swedish submachine gun. With the Swedish gun gone, stockpiling 13 magazines solved nothing. SOG shifted to Soviet and Chinese AK rifles, then to the RPD, a belt-fed light machine gun that fired the same 7.62 by 39mm round as the AK. The Soviet Union adopted the RPD in 1944. One SOG historian later called it the deadliest small arm their teams carried. They cut the barrel back to the gas tube. That trimmed weight and made the gun quicker to swing through thick jungle. It also changed the first seconds of contact. Short bursts from an RPD sounded like enemy fire, and men tracking shots by sound could turn the wrong way long enough for a team to brake toward the helicopter. Some teams pushed concealment further and wore North Vietnamese uniforms. The captured gun and the uniform hid the American trace, but only at first contact. If those men were taken alive in enemy dress, carrying enemy weapons, they could be shot as spies. That was the price of buying a few seconds. Those borrowed seconds also changed what a recon man packed. A suppressed British Sten from the Second World War could ride in a rucksack, stripped into metal sections until the team needed it. It fired the common 9x19mm round. The point was simple: hide the gun, move light, assemble it late. Then came the pistol with the famous nickname. The Hush Puppy belonged to Navy SEALs first, not to SOG. Armorers built it for quiet shots at guard dogs and sentries before any alarm went up. Only around 120 were made, and a few reached SOG through SEALs who served with the unit. Rare, borrowed. The third tool was louder, but just as specific. The M79 grenade launcher entered United States Army service in 1961 and threw a 40mm grenade with one shot. SOG men cut down the stock and barrel until the launcher could hang from a scout's gear. John Stryker Meyer called that shortened M79 handheld artillery. It let a man keep his rifle in his hands and still send a grenade into the tree line. By 1967, the weapon mix inside SOG had started to change. In Laos, rare suppressors and captured guns no longer had to carry the whole job. Enough American weapons had already been captured in country, and the deniability rule there eased. That gave recon teams room to carry the short American carbine they had wanted. The CAR-15, officially XM-177, was a shortened version of the M16. Colt had first presented the CAR-15 family in 1965. Then it built 510 carbines for SOG alone, a custom production run for one secret unit. That number mattered, not a mixed issue. SOG recon companies became the only units in the entire war armed completely with those carbines, because every recon man could have one. In a veteran's hands, the shift is easy to see when he locks the bolt to the rear. The first barrel measured about 25.4 centimeters, and men found it too short. Accuracy fell off. They still wanted a compact rifle for border work, so Colt stretched the barrel to about 30.5 centimeters. The later XM-177E2, produced from 1967, kept the longer flash suppressor and could take an underbarrel grenade launcher. With compact carbines now in SOG hands, headquarters moved to a different problem at the border. Along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, patrols kept uncovering large enemy ammunition caches that they could not carry out. The trail kept feeding caches. John Singlaub, who commanded SOG, decided that some of those rounds could be sent back into enemy rifles without changing their outward appearance. Approval came on August 30th. On that date in 1967, the plan cleared. Pull the bullet from a captured AK cartridge, remove the powder, replace it with high explosive, and close the round so it still matched the rest of the can. That detail mattered because the danger sat inside a cartridge the shooter had no reason to doubt. One cartridge carried the trap. A normal AK round produced about 310 megapascals of pressure, while the altered round reportedly reached about 1,700. The test settled the question. On Okinawa, technicians fixed an AK rifle to a bench and fired one modified cartridge, and the weapon did not complete a normal shot. The receiver broke apart, and the bolt drove straight backward. In a man's hands, that force would not have stopped at the rifle. That blast solved only half the job. Ben Baker at CISO still had to hide the change inside the cartridge. Color came first. His first filler showed up white in an opened case, and an enemy armorer could spot the trick in seconds. Baker kept at it. He found a substitute that matched the dark grain of ordinary gunpowder. Then he fixed the next step. Teams slipped only one altered round into a magazine, a machine gun belt, or an ammunition can. Never two. If a survivor tore down the rest of the load after the burst, he found ordinary cartridges and no clear sign of tampering. One wrecked AK could pass for a factory defect. The remaining rounds protected the lie. That small choice shaped the whole operation. Suspicion had to land on the ammunition batch, then travel from one unit to another. American military newspapers printed warnings about captured AK rifles blowing up in use. Their reports blamed poor ammunition quality from Chinese and Soviet suppliers. The cartridge stayed hidden. the rumor kept moving. That single sabotaged round scaled up in the Mekong Delta. SOG took a captured boat. They loaded it with altered ammunition, blasted holes through the hull, and smeared chicken blood across the deck to fake an ambush. The staged damage made the abandoned load look believable. Then they left it drifting, expecting enemy troops to salvage the cargo. For a while, it worked. A souvenir AK brought back to the United States, then exploded and injured an American. Now an American had been hit. After that, SOG stopped using captured ammunition in captured rifles. The leak followed. After press reports in 1969, officials renamed the program and began to wind it down. That same scrutiny reached the legends around SOG weapons. Next to a plain rifle, the gyrojet looked oversized, a pistol from MBA Associates that fired small rocket rounds. SOG received a few for trials, and part of the appeal was the hope of a quieter shot. But the test soured quickly, because the round built speed only after launch and the pistol stayed inaccurate and unreliable. At the short distances a sidearm should solve, that delay undercut the whole idea. That pattern matters. Each rumor starts with a real object, then accuracy, quantity, or ownership changes the conclusion. The China Lake pump-action grenade launcher was used in Vietnam, but only about 22 were built, and most documented links point to Navy SEAL teams. SOG barely touched it, and a weapon that scarce could not define the unit's armory. The last claim weakens even faster. The cyanide tooth survives as a story, not as evidence. A curator at the International Spy Museum checked the record and found no proof that anyone had a hollow tooth made to hide a cyanide capsule. Suicide pills were real Cold War objects, but no evidence supports a specially made tooth with one inside. One rumor collapsed. The larger one stayed. SOG did not carry some private set of Geneva-banned guns. Its edge was different. A rifle could arrive with no marking on the metal where a maker or country usually appeared. That hid the trail. That is the key distinction. Deniable did not mean forbidden. It meant a captured weapon revealed less about the man holding it and less about who sent him. MACV-SOG, the Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group, existed for that kind of work from 1964 onward. These teams crossed borders and moved deep behind enemy territory. The price stayed real. SOG recon teams took some of the heaviest casualties of the war. Their missions stayed hidden for decades. Then came the paper trail. In 2001, the unit received the Presidential Unit Citation for extraordinary heroism in operations deep in enemy territory across Southeast Asia. The frame closes on that citation. The paper drops out of frame, and one quiet line remains on the screen. SOG recon teams in Laos. No summary follows, no next promise. Just the title for a moment, then silence.